Hey guys, this is going to be my first voiceover on a video. It's going to be more informative than it is entertaining. Sorry about that, but I'll put the stuff that I found wrong with this particular carburetor here at the beginning. That way, if you've already taken one of these apart, you don't have to watch the whole thing. Also, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. And if there's anything you'd like to see, shoot me a comment and I will see about getting a video up as soon as possible. Thanks. First, I want to go over a few things that were wrong with my carburetor from when I got it. This first shot here, you can see the vacuum plate on the slide was actually upside down. You can see the W in the top right corner. W means wrong, so we needed to flip that upside down. You should see an M in the left-hand corner with that hole there on the bottom. There's also a little half circle arc that is on the bottom as well. That's how you'll know if it's the correct direction. So something else I ran into, the float needle should have a spring-loaded pin on the top of it that you should be able to push in and out. It should spring back on its own. This particular carburetor, just over the years, that pin is stuck down inside. So this float needle does need to be replaced. You cannot fix that. So here it is next to a new one. You can see the one on the right is the old one, and the one on the left there with the pin is the new one. Also, with the float assembly, fuel valve, I went ahead and pulled the needle seat, and under there you can see all the years of debris. I need a 3mm hex key. To get yourself a good JIS, which is Japanese Industrial Standard screwdriver. Next, you'll need a 14mm wrench. We're going to use this to take out our hot start and our choke assembly. Also going to need a 4mm hex key, 6mm socket, and an 8mm socket. You'll need a flat-headed screwdriver small enough to get your fuel screw out and the pilot and starter jets out. The thing I'm going to do here is pull the fuel screw out of the bottom of the carburetor. Go ahead and pull all 4 bowl screws out. Next, I'll pull the floats. To get the float pin out, I just use the tip of the fuel screw. To pull the main jet, you're going to need your 6mm socket. If your main nozzle does not come out with the main jet, use your 8mm socket here to remove that. Grab our narrow flat blade screwdriver and pull the pilot and starter jet next. So that's it for down here. Next, we're going to flip it over, pull the slide plate off, and get the slide out of the carburetor. To pull the slide, we're going to want to take this screw out of the top of the throttle here. To remove the slide, just pull up on the linkage and it will pop right out of the top of the carburetor. So now that we have the slide out, something to keep in mind, especially on reassembly, is this vacuum plate. You want to make sure that you install it the correct direction. The half circle and the hole in the plate should be facing downward, closer to the needle. With the 4mm hex key, let's go ahead and remove the airbox side intake manifold. Use the flat-headed screwdriver to go ahead and pull the 2 air jets here. Next, we'll pull the hot start and choke plungers out. You'll need your 14mm wrench for that. On these carburetors, I typically leave the throttle position sensor in place. There's really no reason to remove it, and just make sure you keep your cleaner away from it while you're cleaning the carburetor. That way nothing gets inside of it and gives you any electrical gremlins. So the only thing left in the carburetor body now is the float valve seat. I pulled my old one out. This is the old one here. There is an O-ring right there on it. That does tend to go bad over the years, but not something you need to pull and worry about during a typical carburetor cleaning. This is more if your carburetor's leaking and you've adjusted the floats, replaced the float needle, and it's still leaking. It's probably this O-ring. Another tip while you're cleaning, pay really close attention to where the fuel screw goes in. These carburetors tend to get pieces of the O-ring and debris and all sorts of stuff up in this circuit, so it'll cause idling issues and low-speed circuit problems if you do not get this area clean. Looking back at the float bowl, let's go ahead and pull the accelerator pump diaphragm to check its condition. There is a spring under this cover, so make sure you're holding on to it while you pull the screws out. And as you can see, this accelerator pump diaphragm is completely deteriorated. The rubber's falling apart. That explains a lot of pieces that I've found throughout the carburetor. So that'll definitely need replaced, and I actually have one here. I'll pull out and show you comparison of the two. One last tip while you're cleaning, right here is the nozzle for the accelerator pump. This is where it's pushing the fuel into the intake, into the throttle. It pushes right through this brass nipple behind the slide. Make sure that when you spray cleaner through the bottom there, it comes out that brass nipple. So of course guys, the camera dies here at the end before I get the carburetor all the way back together, but you pretty much get the gist. It's just reverse of disassembly. So if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, and if there's anything specific you want to see with this bike, please shoot me a comment and I will do my best to get a video up.